Airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Duck Insider.
We need to get community. We need this thing to be bigger than just our little circle of players and coaches.
Are you kidding me? Touchdown, Oregon.
With 2 seconds on the clock. He hits it!
That's the bigger picture in this thing, allowing the community to celebrate the hard work, blue-collar mentality this group brings to the table.
And the Ducks have won it! The Ducks have won!
We get to struggle together, and we get to have joy together.
The Ducks are Pac-12 champions!
I am so proud right now to be the head coach at Oregon.
Oregon's a Fiesta Bowl champion in a 12-win season.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Now let's go live to the Country Financial Studio to talk Oregon Duck Athletics.
Welcome back to a new week of Oregon Athletics here in the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. I am your host for today's show, Ryan Milano, breaking down what was a jam-packed, and I mean absolutely jam-packed weekend in Oregon Athletics. I'm not sure if we've seen a weekend that has been this packed, well, in a long time. When you get to that winter and spring crossover season, there is a lot of sports that are coming down the pipeline at the same time. 23 events between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for Oregon. Yeah, it was a really packed weekend for Oregon on the athletic front. No events today, no events tomorrow. We get just a little bit of a break, but we will break down at least a few of the events that happened for Oregon over the weekend. It started on Friday. Beach volleyball opened up the day with a doubleheader. Oregon track and field all day. They were in action on both Friday and Saturday at the Ken Shannon Last Chance Invite. Women's tennis kicked off Friday. They played on Sunday as well. Oregon softball played throughout the weekend. Happy to report that Knight Uretsky is back in studio, and so Knight will get him to get his quick thoughts on the weekend for Oregon softball, where they played 5 down at the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic. Oregon baseball sweeps the home opening weekend against Lafayette. I was on the call for all 4 games. Joey joined me for game number 4 on Sunday. That was a big and a fun one. We'll have a lot more baseball content throughout today's show, talking to Coach Wadzikowski, as well as the winning pitcher on Sunday, Kevin Sider. Also, Ryan Cooney, who had his first career home run, as well as his second career home run over the weekend, and Jeffrey Hurd as well, who just hits. All he does is just keep hitting. At least through the first 2 weekends, he has been tremendous. We'll get all of that broken down on the show. Oregon women's basketball, they played against the Washington schools. We'll get to that on the show today. Oregon men's basketball, we broke down their win over Stanford. We'll break down the game against Cal coming up in just a few moments. So much going on. Men's tennis played Cal Poly, and acrobatics and tumbling went up against Baylor, and Oregon lacrosse went up against Marist. And Jess Drummond, happy to report a 1,000 career winning percentage still in her career as head coach. I had the opportunity to sit down with her earlier today. We'll get to that later in the week on the show here on Duck Insider. But first, with Knight here, I do want just to start off the show just with some quick softball, quick hitters. Oregon, they played 2 on Friday against Notre Dame and Long Beach State. They played 2 on Saturday against Nebraska. Actually, 1 on Saturday. They played 2 on Thursday, 2 on Friday, 1 on Saturday. That's right, Knight. Yeah. Knight, give me your thoughts on the weekend. What was the overall breakdown? You were there. I was on the call with baseball, so catch me up to speed.
Okay, so overall, Oregon softball, obviously a 3-2 weekend. They lost a close one against Baylor, and honestly, Baylor was probably the team of the weekend at the Mary Nutter. They went undefeated, pulled off ranked wins against Oregon, as well as UCLA and Missouri, so they beat off a couple of top Pac-12 teams. They beat a top 15 Missouri team, who was the team in Florida to beat all the way back at the Clearwater NFCA Leadoff Classic. But ultimately, I think that this weekend for Oregon softball, they fought a lot, and this is a team that when they score 3 runs or more, they're 8-1 this season. They've won 8 straight when scoring 3 runs, and I think that's going to be the key moving forward. If this team can score 3 runs, they're probably going to win games. The pitching's been really good. We saw them struggle at times offensively. We saw it in the finale against Nebraska, but ultimately, pitching's really good on this team. Ariel Carlson, she had 9 total RBIs on the weekend, so she had 10 week 1. Only had 1 week 2, and then had 9 this weekend. So we'll see if she can add on to her RBI total. A lot of RBIs, hit a grand slam. Valerie Wong had an inside the park home run as well as an out of the park home run. And Alyssa Daniel has just continued to crush softballs. She had a couple of home runs as well. So there's a lot of positives, mainly that second day where they went undefeated against Long Beach State and Notre Dame. Both those teams were in the NCAA tournament last year. And then Friday, they probably had their biggest win of the season, a win against UCF.
How was the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic playing at the Big League Dreams, the ballparks? How was just the overall event as a whole? Because when I went last year, I played at Big League Dreams when I was in Little League all the way back years ago, and so it was really cool for me going back to Big League Dreams and broadcasting there. What was your experience like at the Mary Nutter?
Oh my gosh, it's an amazing tournament overall. There's so many people that came out. It really felt like it was a whole event. Just to have 32 teams in the region there is just phenomenal, and there's so many softball fans. But the facilities are cool. I mean, getting to play at Wrigley Field, quote-unquote, and Yankee Stadium, and the backdrop's beautiful. And then in Palm Springs this time of year, the mountains were snow-capped, so just to have that in the backdrop was really awesome. But I think the big thing is just seeing the softball community show out. You saw it after the game. These softball players were going, and they're signing softballs. There's this cute video that Sophie got where this kid, he's about maybe 5 or 6 years old. He's wearing a big duck beanie, like the Oregon ones with the duck face on it. And so he's wearing it, and he's just standing underneath the little fence. His head doesn't reach above the fence, and he's holding a softball. And then 3 softball players come over, and they sign his ball. And you could just tell that, this is the sport growing. There's a lot of young girls that were there, and they were watching these Oregon Ducks athletes and really admiring them. And I think that a lot of them, including Taylor Spencer, grew up going to this tournament and wanted to play there eventually. And I think this is just starting it for the next generation. So I think it's a cool tournament all around.
Yeah, that's great. That's similar to my experience with the Mary Nutter. You just kind of feel this sense of community. Out of all the softball tournaments that I've been to, and calling the Oregon team for the 2 years prior to this one, it really felt like the Mary Nutter was sort of a collection of all of the community for softball. Super cool. Sophie Lead, you mentioned, she went down, was filming for Creative with crossover season. There's a whole lot of hands and a whole lot of different sports, as Amy Sinicola normally with softball went on the road with beach volleyball this week. So great content coming out of, all of the programs on their socials. Great to see Sophie being able to make the trip down there. Also, it seems like everyone's playing Baylor right now. Oregon baseball played Baylor last weekend. Ducks got the win. Oregon softball played Baylor at the Mary Nutter. Oregon acro and tumbling played Baylor on Sunday, yesterday. So everyone going up against Baylor. The only team that it seems like isn't going up against Baylor is the men's basketball team. I want to break down what went on for Coach Altman's squad this weekend. We already talked about the win for Oregon men's basketball on Thursday against Stanford. We talked about it on Friday. Oregon was back in action on Saturday against Cal, and it really seemed like the inverse game than what happened against Stanford. The Ducks got up early in the ball game, and really throughout the entirety of the first half, and for a large part in the majority of the early parts of the second half, Oregon maintained about a 3 to an 8-point lead, and the Ducks could never stretch that lead, but also Cal never really chipped into it. The Ducks jumped out to a 6-0 lead to start, and it really felt like it was within a possession of that 6-0 lead that Oregon jumped out to for a real majority of the ball game, until Cal was able to jump in front for the first time in the ball game at the 11-minute mark in the second half. Oregon went 5 minutes without a point from the 15:30 mark to the 10:30 mark, just about. And, it was right when Kwame Evans Jr. ends up spraining his ankle. We'll hear from Coach Altman. He talked about that post-game with Joey, but it was right when KJ ended up coming out of the game. And for an Oregon team that's down to 8 scholarship players, if you lose another one and a key member of the rotation, which Kwame Evans Jr. has been over the last, really the whole season, he's been one of the consistently healthy members of this Oregon team, and losing him in your lineup at that point in time, it made a difference. It made a difference for Oregon, and it forces Dana Altman to once again change up the rotation towards the back end of that Cal game. And Oregon got into a groove, but it took them a few minutes to do so. And, well, in that time frame, Cal was able to flip the game. It went from Oregon consistently holding about a 3 to an 8-point lead for the Ducks to a completely flipped game where it was just about Cal holding about a 3 to a 6-point lead for the remainder of the game. Defensively for Oregon, the Ducks showed up. It was what Dana Altman talks about, keeping them below that 80 number. Well, the Ducks kept them below 70. It was a 69-64 final against Cal, where Oregon continued to battle back and forth, and the defense was there. The problem is the shot was not. For Oregon, it just felt like the Ducks couldn't really get the shot to fall, which is why I say it was kind of the inverse of the Stanford game. Dana Altman always says that you're going to shoot 10 times in a season, the lights out. 10 times a season, you're not going to shoot worth a darn, and 10 times you're going to shoot just okay. And, well, the Ducks, after coming off of a shooting performance where they shot 48% from three, about 50% from the field against Stanford, the Ducks shot 35% from the field against Cal and just 23% from three. The Ducks stayed in this ball game due to their free throw line production. They went 20 of 23 at the charity stripe, and Oregon was physical in this ball game, but if you ask Dana Altman, which Joey will in a second, a big key was that Oregon didn't move the ball well enough. And, well, the Ducks, it shows up in the stat sheet. The Ducks only had 5 assists compared to 20 made baskets in this game against Cal. Against Stanford, it was 19 assists on 31 made baskets for Oregon. You'd like to see that assist number go up for the Ducks, just kind of showcasing Oregon moving the basketball around to create more open shots. Jermaine Couisnard in this game, he had 19 points in the ball game, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. So 3 of the 5 assists in the game went to Jermaine Couisnard, or rather came off of the pass from Jermaine Couisnard. Folly Dante had a pretty solid game. 15 points, 9 rebounds, 3 blocks, a steal, in a low-scoring game like this. That's a pretty solid stat line for Folly Dante, making his impact known not only on the offensive end, but also on the defensive end. Jadrian Tracy also in double figures for the Ducks, coming off of a career-high performance against Stanford. Followed up with 10 points and 3 rebounds against Cal. So a solid showing for those 3 Ducks on the offensive side of things. But Oregon ended up dropping the game 69-64 to Cal. And, well, it's a loss that at this point in the season, Oregon really wanted and almost needed to have. It makes the math moving forward for an at-large bid into the NCAA tournament, it makes it a little bit difficult for Oregon moving forward. So we're breaking down that game against California. Joey was there in California at Berkeley, and Joey was able to catch up with Dana Altman post-game on the court after the game, and here are the thoughts from Coach Altman.
Well, Coach, I seemed like you just had a few shots that didn't go in, would have made a difference, and they were able to hang on here down the stretch. What were some of your takeaways?
Well, our ball movement wasn't nearly as good as it was against Stanford. Some of that was their pressure. Some of it's them just laying on Dante in the post, just pushing him every time he touches it. So, it's kind of, we got to get it moving quicker. We didn't hit any shots. I thought defensively, holding them to 69, and, we should have given ourselves a chance, but a couple big buckets at the end of the shot clock there, and then Dante had a foul, when guy lost his footing there. But, no, I thought our guys played hard, didn't hit any shots. Our ball movement wasn't nearly as good as what it should have been. And, again, I think Dante gets abused in the post. They think because he's big they can just lay on him and hammer him every time. So, I probably get in trouble for saying that, but it's the way the game is, and so we just got to find a way to get better ball movement and keep him off on the perimeter a little bit more and flash him in there so they can't hold him and lay on him.
Certainly things changed too when KJ went out. I know that had to change some
dynamics.
Yeah,
no, he sprained his ankle there, and he was hobbling on it, said he could go back in, but we just decided to go with what we had.
Takeaways moving forward now, Coach?
Well, we just got to go swing away. We got 3 home games and 1 more road. Tough road game at Arizona, but big game Wednesday night. We got to find a way to get it and keep swinging away.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate the time.
good news from Coach Altman. It seems like Kwame Evans is going to be okay. Just a little bit of a sprained ankle. That's good news to hear, as Oregon obviously limited in terms of their rotation. That from Coach Altman, brought to you by the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute and Research Center. Fight like a duck with exceptional cancer care close to home. Also, thanks for dealing with us. Had a slight technical difficulty with our Facebook streamer. Back up, back live. Nothing that you should be too concerned about if you're following along with us on Facebook, but thank you for bearing with us for that for just a quick moment. Other than that, Oregon men's basketball, they'll continue to move forward. They are home on Wednesday against Oregon State. So a midweek game, a rivalry game for the Ducks coming up on Wednesday against the Beavers. A bit of a different slot for the Ducks, but it's 8 o'clock Wednesday, Mathewson Arena. Joey will be on the air starting at 7:30 at MKA for Oregon versus Oregon State. I know that's a big game, means a lot. Means a lot to me, certainly, and I hope means a lot to everyone else because, I like beating the Beavers. We are going to get to our first timeout, and then we're going to switch gears from men's basketball to women's basketball, where the Ducks went on the road to play unranked teams for the first time in over a month. We're talking about that next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear winter, Toyota can't get enough of you, because Toyota's got 22 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/23.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear winter, Toyota can't get enough of you, because Toyota's got 22 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/23.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield.
Sometimes I just cannot believe all the storms we've gone through here.
I can only hope that we'll be able to leave this house to you one day, baby. You're our legacy.
Planning for these disasters will make sure we're safe, and is the best way to protect that legacy.
Protect your legacy. Visit ready.gov/plan for the tools and tips you need to start your emergency preparedness plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Back here in the Country Financial Studio, it's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. I'm Ryan Milano, taking your way through today's show. And we just talked about Oregon men's basketball and their loss against Cal. That happened on Saturday. We're also talking about Oregon women's basketball and their games over the weekend with Washington on Friday and on Sunday against Washington State. We'll focus mostly on the Washington State game as the Ducks dropped both games this weekend against the Washington schools. And, well, against Wazoo, really, this entire weekend, it felt like for Oregon women's basketball, it really showed that the Ducks were going against unranked opponents for the first time in over a month. It had been over a month-long stretch between games where Oregon hadn't played a team ranked inside of the top 20. Against Washington, Oregon came out, and it was a pretty back-and-forth game for the entire time. And, well, after big performances in that game for Oregon, in particular from Kennedy Basham, who put up her career-high 15 points, a really strong game for the Ducks, as it seemed like Oregon continued to move forward throughout that game against Washington, being competitive, and moved into the game against Washington State. And the Ducks ended up dropping that game against Washington State, 71-61 the score, and Oregon played even with Wazoo for a large majority of the first quarter, second quarter, and fourth quarters, but a big offensive output from Washington State in the second half, and in particularly the third quarter. 26 points in the frame for the third quarter for Wazoo really was the difference in the ball game, and it was a 71-61 game that was probably even a little bit closer than that. A phenomenal day for Filipina Che. 23 points, 15 rebounds. Yeah, 23 points, 15 rebounds. Philly was awesome. Philly was all over the place, and really the two bigs for Oregon were they had not only good games but also good weekends. Philly put up a double-double in the first game of the weekend against Washington, and, well, Philly fouled out about midway through the fourth quarter in that game against Washington when the game was really, really close against the Huskies. And you think if Philly's on the floor for Oregon, it completely changes the complexion of the back end of that game. Philly was on the floor for the whole game against Washington State, and she did. She changed the complexion the entirety of the way through. And a Washington State team that, well, they're not ranked inside of the top 25, but they are in terms of net ranking, at least going into the weekend. Going into the weekend were 25th in the net. So a team in Washington State that is still really good, that Oregon played really well, and the Ducks had chances in this game to compete and had chances in this game to outmatch Washington State, and they held serve for a large majority of it. I mentioned Kennedy Basham and her performance on Friday against Washington, scored 15, scored 14 against Washington State. Both of them would have surpassed her previous career high in points of 7. So she had a tremendous weekend for Kennedy Basham and Grace Van Sluten. 16 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists for the Ducks as they really battled against the Washington schools. Chris Clayton was on the road with Oregon women's basketball, and he was able to sit down courtside with Kelly Graves after the game.
Felt like that third quarter was pretty decisive. Do you think that was the difference?
It was just a couple little streaks. Yeah, definitely there. We were trying to get a foul to kind of stop the bleeding a little bit and get to a timeout. We just don't have the kind of depth that we need, but so we needed to get those kids some rest. But I give our players a lot of credit. I thought we did a lot of good things tonight. We out-rebounded them. We limited our turnovers a little bit, had a better assist-to-turnover ratio than we typically have. I thought Grace was a warrior tonight, played so well, missed some free throws, but otherwise, she had a great game. And then Philly just continues to really impress. I feel bad for this kind of an effort, was wasted. But, they're a good team, and they know who they are and what they are. And we're just still, we've just never really figured that out. And that's on me as a coach. But, listen, we just got to, regroup. We have 2 games left before we go to Vegas. But, it's disappointing. It's just disappointing. We don't have enough players that spike and have a really good game on the same night. So if Philly has this kind of game Friday, maybe it's different. And I'm not blaming her. I'm just saying that's kind of been our case. We haven't had a ton of players have great games on the same night. Kennedy Basham had a good weekend. Yeah. Hit a couple of shots late for us. Did a nice job. She's being a lot more aggressive. It was a tough night for Chance. But again, we've just got to find a way. We just got to keep battling.
Mm-hmm. Probably a lot of positives you could take offensively from the weekend. I mean, you shot 41% in this game. On the road, not bad, 61 points. Do you think there's a lot to build on from this weekend?
I do. I do. Yeah, I didn't see it as complete negative. Now that being said, we lost 2 games. So does it matter if it's by, closer scores than it has been? We've been competitive, but we're still not winning. And, and ultimately that's what we're trying to do, right? That's the whole goal of this thing. But I'm proud of the team. I champion the team. Listen, we've got to also get some production off our bench. They played 35 minutes tonight. We had 31 minutes the other night, and we haven't scored a point off the bench. I mean, at some level, we got to get production outside of the big 3. And, we didn't tonight. So, credit Washington State. This is a good senior class that they have. Let me know if Charlize goes through senior day because, we're kind of tired of playing against her, even though she didn't play tonight. We wish her the absolute best. But Bella, I can't pronounce her last name, but she's been a heck of a player. We scrimmaged them before the season her freshman year several years ago. And to see where she's come is a real testament to her, the coaching staff, her team. I look at Philly's been on that same kind of trajectory. You guys, Philly, 23-15. I mean, that's absolutely incredible.
It is.
And she did it right from the start. It's kind of funny. Before the game, she was a little melancholy, kind of down, kind of in her own space, and I was a little bit worried, And maybe that's a good sign. I'll read that as a good sign next time. But, hopefully this weekend – we get a good crowd, and people should still support this team. They're playing hard. We're just, we're not quite as good as we want to be. That's the bottom line. And I know my coaching staff is working hard, and I know the players are working hard to, they don't like this, but we carry onward.
Yep. And to Cal and Stanford this next weekend back at Matthew Knight Arena. So it should be a couple.
We play Cal first, right?
Yes, Thursday, Cal. Yep.
Yeah, that's that's a big game. We got to get that one. But listen, we're going to continue to do the best we can.
Yep. Sounds good. Thanks for your time, Coach.
That was Kelly Graves talking with Chris Clayton after the game. Kelly Graves was actually in studio this morning. He'll be aired on Tip-Off Tuesday tomorrow. He was talking about a whole host of things. So, KG, you can hear from him tomorrow on the Oregon women's basketball team. They'll be back in action. Starting Thursday, you just heard Chris say it, Thursday against Cal at Matthew Knight Arena. That's a big game for Oregon, and against Stanford later in the weekend as well, as the Ducks continue to move forward throughout this season and look to get on the right side of things. Team that started out on the right side of things, Oregon baseball, the home opener for the Ducks at PK Park this last weekend. We're talking about that when we come back on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
At Shadow Hills Country Club, we're more than just an award-winning golf course and practice facility. Our events team offers all-inclusive event pricing that allows us to take care of all the details while you enjoy your event. Our indoor and outdoor venues offer you a wide variety of fully staffed options that put the focus on you. From weddings to business and social events, at Shadow Hills Country Club Events Center, you get the benefits of a resort atmosphere and amenities in a peaceful country setting, just minutes from downtown Eugene. Call for a tour today or visit shadowhillsevents.com.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those round trips, which are perfect on your way there and perfect on your way back? Or those meetings with friends, surprise parties, camps, birthdays. The same way you plan for the important moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Get started at ready.gov/plan.
Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Welcome back inside the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. I'm Ryan Milano, and I was at PK Park this weekend for all 4 games, and so were you Duck fans. Great job, Duck fans. Phenomenal showings. Mother Nature was great to us this weekend. It was sunny. It was about 55 degrees the whole weekend, and there was just so much that was going on that was so positive. Every single game had more than 1,900 fans there. Let's keep that up. Let's keep it up the whole season. I was talking with Coach Wazakowski. We'll hear from him in a moment. I was talking with him before the doubleheader on Saturday and asked him about the attendance on Friday, and he said it was the largest February attendance that Oregon has ever had. That's so phenomenal. Keep carrying that momentum. I hope to see all of you at PK Park throughout the rest of the season as we continue to move forward throughout the year. But what a great start, Duck fans. Opening day on Friday. It was Phil Knight's birthday on Saturday. Waz and the whole coaching staff bought pizzas for all of the students. That was awesome. I got a slice. It was fantastic. It was a great day to play 2 on Saturday, and it was an even better day on Sunday to continue to go through it, where Oregon was able to complete the sweep, honoring the 1954 College World Series team. And being around this program, that's something that has been a big emphasis, is what does it take to get to Omaha? Omaha is the standard. We've heard a lot of players say that, a lot of coaches say that. This Duck team, they want to get to Omaha. They were honoring the team that did go to Omaha, the 1954 team, and the uniforms were awesome. Look at these uniforms. They were so phenomenal, and I think they might even look better in person. The throwbacks with the vintage O on the forehead of the cap. You've got the Oregon written out. Great job by Nike. Great job by the equipment staff. The stirrups with the ultimate touch. Awesome, awesome, awesome stuff. Awesome uniforms. And it was really great to be at PK Park in person on really this whole weekend, but on Sunday in particular, where they honored that 1954 team. The Ducks won all 4 games this weekend, combined for 32 runs through the first 2, then a little bit of a tighter one in game number 3, a 7-4 win for Oregon, and then closed it out with a 12-2 win to sweep the Lafayette Leopards. As Oregon moved through the weekend, they are now 6-1 on the year after the 4-game sweep. All great things coming out of PK Park, and Coach Wazakowski, after the game, he was able to catch up with the media. So here is Waz wearing the throwbacks right after the game on Sunday.
You guys complete the 4-game sweep. Just what do you think of your performance overall today?
More complete, less young, played a little bit older, and had a really good pitching performance by Kevin Sider that set the tempo for us, and I thought that was a big part of the game.
Specifically about Sider, just what do you see from him, and what do you think he did well compared to the start last week against Baylor?
I thought he pitched well last week against Baylor, too. I think he's had 2 pretty good starts. Last week he was a little bit on a pitch count, like a lot of those guys were. Might not have been quite as sharp as he was today. Last week he had a really good feel for his fastball location, and 3 other secondary pitches today. I do think that last week maybe he didn't have quite as good a fastball location as he did today, and I don't think his stuff was as good as it was today. I think his stuff was back to what we were used to seeing. And he just pitched old. He made the one mistake to the 9-hole guy. I think he wanted that pitch back. But other than that, I think he pitched old, and he just was in character.
What can you say about the toughness that Carter showed this weekend, getting plunked 6 times?
Yeah, I think it says a lot, right? And then the ability to be able to swing around the infield. He can play anywhere on that infield. And with Drew being out today, Carter sliding over the third base, played third base last year quite a bit when Ceballos was dinged up a little bit, and he did a great job defensively. He's just a good player, and he's a really tough kid.
There's another game where up and down the lineup you got contributions. Do you like that? Did you like the balance you saw? You've had games this year where it was the bottom of the order or the middle of the order. Did you like the balance today?
Yeah, I did. I thought they were productive at-bats. I thought Jack Brooks had a really good balance in there, too. He added some energy. He had a lot of hustle. I think he's a kid that is a tremendously exciting player, he's got a chance to be a really, really good player for us in an Oregon uniform. And I felt like Jack had a really, really good day at the plate, just providing some energy and just doing little things, nothing super outstanding or fantastic with home run balls like we saw, Cooney and the Jeffrey Hurds and those kind of guys do quite a bit of this weekend. But I just felt like he really energized a lot of things, and I thought he played well. I was proud of Jack.
What did Cooney demonstrate today by starting off multiple innings with extra base hits?
Well, and he was hitting them in all parts of the field, and so it was a little bit of a mature approach for him, too. And, you don't see many freshmen be able to go out there and handle shortstop as well as he did. A lot of people, you just go, I don't even remember much that went on at shortstop. That's a good thing. Usually if you remember a lot that goes on in the field, it's either because it's a sports center play or where the guy's kicking the ball around a little bit. And when he goes, you don't even see him out there, that means he probably played really well on defense, and he's a really good player.
Speaking of sports center plays, Bryce had another one, and he hits the home run.
Sure did.
Do you continue to be impressed with his ability to balance everything he's got going on and provide input like that?
Yeah, and he's just he's a guy that has a huge heart too. This is Oregon. The University of Oregon is everything to him. He lives and breathes for this athletic department and the university, and he's so proud to be a part of this university. To see him have success on a baseball field is just one of the biggest joys of mine so far in the early season, because he's such a great kid.
What do you think of Jackson Jordan's performance? 3K, strikeout side. I think he was up to 93. I think he topped out as. Just what do you think of him?
Dominant. Absolutely dominant. Probably the best. Sider did it over a longevity deal today. He really ran it out there with a high number of innings. But to watch Brock Moore do what he did, that was fantastic. I think he woke some people up around the ballpark when he got in the game, and then when Jackson Jordan got in the game, it was like, wow, this guy's even better than the last guy. And then to see Turner Spoljarek jump in there and go out there and attack with his fastball and show his best stuff so far of the year. Really excited about what we saw at that bullpen.
16 strikeouts from your staff as a whole today, most since 2021. What does an outing like today do for a pitching staff moving forward as the year goes on?
Hopefully trust what Coach Hawk's talking about even more, because he's in a way he's a perfectionist. He just demands an excellent effort on everything that you do with your details. And I think these guys, Coach Hawk is new, and when they start seeing that things are paying off, I think that you establish more trust. And he's a wonderful human being, and I think the pitchers probably after this weekend probably can see a little bit more of his plan and how that works when they execute what he's asking them to do.
With Moore, what's it like to have a guy who can sit 99, 100 just out there in the pen, just kind of at your disposal? You didn't use him until today. What's that like to have?
Yeah, it's not bad having a guy that can touch 102 miles an hour out of the bullpen. It's pretty cool. Yeah. And it strikes too. It strikes, and it's a secondary pitch, and we call him Big Country, and he's just an awesome human being. He's a great kid. He went through a lot in his life, and to have a kid come in here from Indiana, it's awesome to be able to see him thrive and to be able to see the scouts go, whoa, that's really cool. And he's not just a carnival pitcher; he's an effective college pitcher that has a big arm.
4 games now with Cassell at the leadoff spot. Do you think that'll stick?
Good question. Time will tell. Early to start giving definitives on every little thing, but we're seeing a lot of pluses. Something to build off this weekend. I know next weekend's going to be a heck of a test. And we're excited about what's in front of us, and we got to start preparing for next weekend.
Put Walsh out and right there to end the game. Just what's your thought process behind moving him out there and right? And do you see that being more of a thing, or?
It could be. Jacobs played well at first base, really well. He's fantastic around the bag, and we saw his bat get going a little bit more this weekend. Dominic Hellman hasn't really gotten going yet, but he's probably got the best power in the country. And so, one of the possibilities is, assuming that the guys earn that opportunity, is to be able to have Jacob flexible to where he can run around the outfield. And he's a really good athlete. He's fast, and he can cover good ground out there. So to be able to have that as an option and have Hellman be able to play first base, assuming we can get his bat going, could be a really, really scary deal. Left-handed and right-handed in the middle of the order with that kind of power. Include Jeff Hurd and Casella and the rest of them. We're talking about a long order right there.
That's Waz talking with the media after the Sunday 12-2 win against Lafayette, where Oregon was able to sweep the Leopards, and Oregon advances to 6-1 now on the young season. Oregon, by the way, they're getting a new home game, or a new home series, one that we didn't expect at the start of the year. UC Santa Barbara coming to town. That will be this weekend. The first game is going to be Friday at 4 o'clock. So I'll be there the whole weekend with you guys, but I do want to break down a few of the things that Waz was just talking about in that post-game interview. First of all, the pitching for Oregon. Awesome. Absolutely phenomenal pitching. We'll get to Kevin Sider. He spoke with the media. We'll get to him in the next segment. But out of the bullpen, just about as good, if not better, than what Kevin Sider and his, great performance did, and a performance that we haven't seen in about 3 years for Oregon. Brock Moore came in. He's the fastest thrower I've ever seen live. That guy can throw the ball so hard. 102 is what he topped out at. It just seemed like every time he was whipping in fastballs, and then right when you least expected it, he'd throw together a deadly breaking ball that got strikeouts. And you heard Waz mention it, not just a carnival pitcher, an effective collegiate pitcher. And Jackson Jordan came in, his 1 inning struck out the side. Curtis Fulgera came in, he was in the weekend rotation last weekend, came out of the bullpen this weekend. He had an effective inning. They weren't the only ones out of the bullpen, but they were the ones that did it on Sunday. Ryan Featherston, he had a great 4-inning, 5-strikeout performance in the first game on Saturday. Bradley Mullen, he won player of the game for the second game on Saturday. When he came out of the bullpen, he settled things down. Really, the Oregon bullpen across the board, they had a phenomenal week 1, and I think they really passed it over into week 2. There's so many other names that I didn't have a chance to mention, but I really did think that Oregon's bullpen was a big part of Oregon's success over the weekend, and a weekend that really was headlined by the bats because of all the offensive production. When you score 17 in game 1 and 15 in game 2 and then 7 and 12 in the last 2 games, it's the offense that's really going to be the headline, but I thought that the bullpen was awesome. We'll talk about the starting pitcher and some solid and great. Solid is not a good enough word. Some great, maybe elite starting pitcher performances for Oregon baseball that we saw on the bump over the weekend, and also some big offensive numbers where the output for Oregon, career home run number 1 for a few guys, first Oregon career for a few of them, and just a whole lot more. It was a really strong weekend for Oregon baseball. We're going to continue talking about it when we come back. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear winter, Toyota can't get enough of you, because Toyota's got 22 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/23.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear winter, Toyota can't get enough of you, because Toyota's got 22 vehicles with available all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive, and that's more than any other auto brand. So you bring the action and we'll bring the traction. Always Toyota. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer's websites as of 11/21/23.
This is Duck Insider, presented by OnPoint Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
My name is Teresa Barber. I was in the United States Navy, and I served overseas in the Middle East and Africa. Early on in my career, I had a commander that taught our suicide prevention training, and the very next day, he took his own life. 90% of suicide attempts involving a gun are fatal. My way of continuing my service is to help protect my community by being a responsible gun owner and by storing firearms safely. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Mom. It's Emmettith and Nicholas.
Congratulations on getting your diploma.
You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. I'm Ryan Milano, holding things down for today's show. And we talked a little bit about Oregon baseball, and we're continuing to talk about the Ducks in their home opening sweep. PK Park, you were awesome. Let's keep that up throughout the whole season. And someone else who was awesome was, well, not only Kevin Sider in the starting pitcher on Sunday, but also Grayson Grinsel. He was the starting pitcher in Game 1 of the doubleheader on Saturday. Grayson Grinsel struck out double-digit batters for the first time a Duck has done it since 2021 when Robbie Ahlstrom struck out 10 against Stanford on May 21st, 2021. And then we had to wait 3 years, essentially, between that outing and when Grayson did it on Saturday. And we had to wait maybe 24 hours, if that, to have Kevin Sider strike out one more. He one-upped Grayson Grinsel, struck out 11. It had a little bit more innings to do so. Grayson Grinsel's pitch count went up a touch high, so 4 innings and 10 strikeouts for Grinsel and 6 innings and 11 strikeout for Sider. The first Duck to strike out 11 since, well, Robbie Ahlstrom, who did it 2 weeks prior to when he struck out 10. So it was a torrid stretch in 2021 when Robbie Ahlstrom did it, and, well, it was an even better tandem for Oregon baseball on the diamond this weekend when Grayson Grinsel did it on Saturday and then Kevin Sider, the Quinnipiac transfer, did it on Sunday. You heard Waz talk a little bit about his performance. Well, let's hear from the guy himself. Kevin Sider, the starting pitcher for Oregon on Sunday, he met with the media after the game.
Well, I like the way you threw the ball last week. How did you feel about your outing last week? Do you feel like you're able to build on it today?
Yeah, today was definitely a step in the right direction. Having the week just to go over film with Hawk and obviously have a productive practice week was huge. Every time your first time's out of the season, it's always something to build off of, like I mentioned before. So we're just going to keep going in the right direction.
What did you like about your stuff today? What was working?
Fastball was good. We put a lot of emphasis on just getting first pitch strikes, and I thought I did a pretty good job with that today. Obviously having Bennett behind the plate, he's stealing a lot of stuff, so that's awesome. And Hawk, I thought, had a fantastic game plan after seeing swings and reading swings for 3 games over 2 days.
Was there a look good, feel good, play good element today? What did you guys think of playing in these uniforms?
100%. Yeah, no, it's a blessing to be able to rock these today and honor the 1954 team. We talked about it earlier today, and that the standard needs to be where they were at in Omaha that year. So we just tried to embody that perspective, if you will, and just try to roll with it.
Your 11 strikeouts today, the most by an Oregon pitcher since 2021. What does an outing like today do for you moving forward in the season?
Definitely builds confidence, but I know there's a lot more. We have a great team coming in next weekend, and we're really excited to get the opportunity to face them.
What are some of those lot more? Like, what do you think that, you're obviously going to review it with Hawk, but just post-game, what do you think you need to kind of improve upon from here?
Like I said before, first pitch strikes, try to get as perfect as possible with those, but obviously it's a hard thing to do. 2-strike breaking balls, and mound presence and everything like that, timing, rhythm, the small details of the game.
Velo ticked up today. I think you topped at 93 or 94. How's the arm feel? Why the increase? You just feel like you were at a little bit more emotions, PK Park debut, stuff like that, or just feel good?
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, it's also the weather's been fantastic here. But yeah, I mean, New Jersey's first time pitching at PK in front of a crowd. I'm really juiced up. I mean, it's an incredible atmosphere, and I'm really blessed to have the opportunity to come out here and show my stuff and, pitch, more so even start. So.
How do you feel about your slider today? You used it kind of more in like the 3rd, 4th inning.
Yeah.
Just what do you think about it?
I like it. I've always loved my slider. I think as the game went on, I thought that it was a pitch that I could use, especially with 2 strikes. That's a big part of my arsenal. So if I can consistently throw that for strikes, and like I mentioned before with 2 strikes, I think that'll be huge for me going forward.
You come out of the game and then Moore goes in, Jackson goes in, Turner goes in. What's it like just to have those types of guys, those types of arms behind you after a performance like you had today?
It's awesome. We talk a lot about playing the game as opposed to playing an opponent or anybody else. So, if we can show our stuff and we can live up to our potential, we're going to go really far. And, we had a lot of guys who we didn't even get in today that are phenomenal as well. So I feel really comfortable with anybody coming in behind me. But it's really, really cool when you see those guys coming out and just pitching lights out.
for more specifically, up to 101 on the gun. What's that like as another pitcher, fellow pitcher, just to see him throw that hard?
No, it's cool. Brock's my roommate, and I'm really, really happy for him. It's hard work's paying off for him, and it's fantastic to see. And I'm really looking forward to see him, progressing throughout the season because he's not going to stop there. It's going to keep going up.
That's Kevin Sider for Oregon baseball, one of 2 Ducks who struck out double-digit batters over the weekend for Oregon baseball in their sweep. Also, someone who was also fresh to PK Park, not a fifth-year transfer senior, but a first-year freshman, Ryan Cooney. He had his first career home run early in the weekend, and then yesterday on Sunday hit not only his second career home run, but also a triple, a really strong day for Ryan Cooney at the plate. Also got his first career start at shortstop yesterday. Ryan Cooney, I thought he had a really strong day, not only at the plate, but in the field. As Coach mentioned, didn't really hear from him or have to say anything about his defense. And for a freshman starting for the first time at shortstop, that's a good thing. Here's Ryan Cooney meeting with the media after Sunday's game.
Pretty big smile on your face around on the bases. As a kid who grew up, rooting for the Ducks, what's it like to, hit a home run in this place and contribute to the team like that?
Yeah, it's awesome being a younger guy and getting to do that, but I think it's just being able to contribute overall. It doesn't have to go over the fence for me to contribute, and it did this time, and I'm happy about it, but, I'm just happy I get the chance to compete out there with the guys.
Did you track down the ball from that first homer on Friday?
Yeah, one of the kids out there got it for me, which was pretty special, so I got to give that to my parents.
As it moved around the infield a little bit, how'd you guys feel you operated as a unit today?
I think we felt really good today. Everybody out there was doing their job, and Coach Hinkle prepares us really well out there, so I think it's easy for us to move around when it's needed.
What were you sitting on for the homer today?
Just fastball. That's my approach usually most of the time, so get out there and get after it.
The first ball, where is it now?
It's with my parents at the moment, yeah. They're going to take it home for me.
Any plans? You can frame it, anything like that?
I think my mom's going to want to frame it, so that'll happen. I'm not going to be doing that, though.
A couple series under your belt now, including one at home. Looking ahead to playing at home again next weekend, just how different do you feel now compared to even just a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, I think I'm a lot more comfortable out there. I think the first weekend, it was big stadium, bright lights. I think it was a lot of fun for me, but, being here, fans around me, a lot more comfortable, and I just hope I get the opportunity to continue what I'm doing.
Being the only true freshman that's been consistently in the lineup, what's that like? What have you soaked up from some of the veterans this year?
I think it's been really special, honestly. I'm just happy the coaches put a lot of trust in me. The older guys have been super helpful. They've taught me, the ways that it works around here and the standard that we need to be at. So I'm really thankful for them and that I am able to be out there with them.
As Gavin, kind of piggybacking off that, has Gavin helped you out with that as well?
Yeah, he's a great guy to have around here, having played here for a long time. And he's also helped me a lot to just learn the ways.
We heard a fun story earlier in pregame between you and Justin vying for the number 12. Did you guys? Did he try to buy it off you or try to trade you for it at all?
No, nothing like that. It just happened to, this is how it is, and I think it doesn't really matter who has the number, but we're just both happy to represent the Oregon.
That's Ryan Cooney. After his first home weekend, had a really strong start at PK Park. We're hearing from one of his teammates who's had a strong start throughout the entirety of this early part of the year, Jeffrey Hurd, when we come back on Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Hey Duck fans, we're all about protecting our home turf here in Eugene. You should do the same for your home with Country Financial Insurance. Most home insurance doesn't account for inflation, but with Country Financial, yours can. If something happens to your home, make sure you can rebuild the same house in the same place. Call a local representative or 866-COUNTRY and get a solid defense for your home. Home insurance policies issued by Country Mutual Insurance Company, Country Casualty Insurance Company, or Country Preferred Insurance Company, Bloomington, Illinois. Property must meet age and condition requirements, which vary by state.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
And here's Heather with the weather.
Well, it's beautiful out there, sunny and 75, almost a little chilly in the shade.
Now, let's get a read on the inside of your car. It is hot. You've only been parked a short time and it's already 99 degrees in there. Let's not leave children in the back seat while running errands. It only takes a few minutes for their body temperatures to rise, and that could be fatal.
Cars get hot fast and can be deadly. Never leave a child in a car. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider, brought to you by OnPoint Community Credit Union. We just talked to both Kevin Sider and Ryan Cooney from the Oregon baseball team. How about Jeffrey Hurd? He has been on fire. Through 7 games, he has 6 two-hit games, and he has 8 extra base hits. Yeah, he has been all over the place, raking baseballs. Here is the left-hand right fielder, Jeffrey Hurd.
4-game sweep. What do you think of your performance over the last couple games?
We did good. We came out. Some games we came out a little slower than we should have, but at the end of the day, the offense kind of clicked, and our pitchers did a really good job of minimizing the other team scoring runs, and I think that's what caused us to sweep 4 games.
Obviously, did some damage this weekend. Just what do you think of the lineup in total? Just like the kind of the potential. I think I asked you about this in Arlington too. Just the potential. Is this kind of what it could look like?
Yeah, long season, you never really know what the finished product's going to look like, but I think we did a good job. I think the lineup this weekend showed that we have potential to do damage, and hopefully we continue to do that as we move forward.
You almost got to poke one of those, that one hit you had, almost got out. Does that stuff like that frustrate you, or
not really. Just got to hit the weight room a little harder. That's all it is. But I don't try to focus on it too much and just look forward to the next game. So.
At Sac State, you're mostly in left field. What's the move over to right been like for you?
It's been honestly pretty easy. Waz is a great outfield coach, and I really wasn't comfortable when I first got here, but he's kind of did a good job of getting me settled in, and I feel comfortable out there now.
Is it more ground to cover out there in right than it was at the John?
Yeah, for sure.
What was it like playing at PK for the first time in front of the fans?
It was cool. I think we had a good turnout all weekend. I'm not sure what the numbers were, but felt like we had a good crowd. It got loud at times. They were interacting with shouting and all that stuff. It's kind of fun with all the traditions we have here. So it was fun, and I'm looking forward to more home games coming forward.
That's Jeffrey Hurd, the Oregon outfielder. Had a phenomenal weekend for the Ducks, along with a whole bunch of other Ducks who had really, really strong showings for Oregon throughout the weekend. Joey's back on the show here tomorrow, and there is still so much more to break down in Oregon athletics, and I think that tomorrow's show is going to be one that, I'll be tuned into. So I'll be looking. Joey will be on the show tomorrow, and other than that, go Ducks.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you out, because only you can prevent wildfires.
Hey, Assistant Smokey Bear. Call me Papa Bear, because I'm grilling up dinner. Do you get it?
Yes, good job.
So, what should I do with all these coals?
Don't just toss them out. Put them in a metal container, because those embers can start a wildfire.
I understand. The stakes are high.
Ha, 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 ha.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought